Hey, what's good? So, I want to ask, what happened? What has happened to Miguel Cotto and his courageous attitude, man? He has gone from this bloodied up warrior, right, to this, a man that knows that has extreme courage, to this. This is how I see him now. This is how I see Miguel Cotto. Shout outs to Coach Shelton Harrison for being the first man that I know that I've seen the first video in the YTBC that has used this video. So yes, I am ripping off from you, brother. You have great videos. Subscribe to Coach Shelton Harrison if you haven't. Also, some other shout outs. Ghetto Superstar, Cigar Boxing. We guys made some great videos on some simps in the YTBC. And a subject I want to talk about is catch weights in boxing. Ooh, some of you guys have made great videos as well, like Boxing Beats and Rhymes, D Style, D Style Boxing, Blood Boxing. Made like some great videos. Even 78, that video called is Manny Pacquiao ducking Triple G. Great videos on the catch weight. One thing that I will talk about in this video. So anybody that I didn't mention, shout outs to all of you, man. Thanks for supporting my channel. And yeah, I'll keep going with my question. What happened to Miguel Cotto, man? To this blood and guts warrior, this man that, has tremendous courage. A guy that, I would say is the manliest fighter that uh alive, I guess you could say. Man's man. A guy with he'll die in the ring. That's the way I view Miguel Cotto. And I see some of his highlights from the past. I'm like, man, Miguel Cotto was a bad man. He still is in the ring, but he just become a diva, man. And I don't know how one becomes a diva. So I have viewed his record on BoxRec, and I, did he just become a diva against Sergio Martinez? Because that's the only time that I remember him making all these demands about catch weights, about his name being first, about him being introduced first. And even though Sergio Martinez is the champion, the lineal champion, the WBC champion of the world, Miguel Cotto's the one that because he's, like you said, he's the A side, so he could make these demands. And now with Daniel Gil, they're like, dude, why are you demanding a catch weight when you're the lineal middleweight champion of the world? You at middleweight. The middleweight limit is 160, but this fight is taking place at 157. And he's basically saying, because I can, because I'm the A side, because I want to. That's exactly what he's saying. If any of you know about him or remember about him being a diva before Sergio Martinez, comment your thoughts below, because I do not remember him. I just remember him as like a Terminator type guy, and as the guy, as you saw in these previous pictures, this guy that would do anything in the ring, take an insurmountable amount of punishment and do all he can to win. And sometimes he came up short against Mayweather, Trout, Manny Pacquiao, but he still tried his best. And he still does, but man, just his attitude is just like, yeah, I want to do this, so I will. This is his argument for doing the catchweight, and it's in ringtv.com. Shout out to Ring TV. Great boxing news. Yeah, that's where I get all my news. I think the people is making a big issue where it does not need to be a big issue. He stated bringing up the catchweight for the Pac-Man fight. I was a gentleman the whole fight. So he's like, why are you bringing it up? I had to be the B side against Manny Pacquiao. I had to choose the catch weight. I had to drain myself to 145. So now this guy has to do it. And in another article, he says, I had to do a catch weight at this particular time, and anyone who wants to fight me must accept a catch weight, or otherwise there is no fight. Hey man, if that doesn't sound like a freaking diva, I do not know what does. This man in a dress in this picture. I do not know what has happened to this man, dude. Is it cuz since losing? Does losing make someone a diva like this? Like losing at the hands of Margarito and Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather as being the B side for two freaking times in his career, like damaged himself mentally that he has to prove without a shadow of doubt that he's the A side against his next opponent. Like I was the A side in two of my like man, come on. There's guys that make their whole careers as underdogs, as the B sides. Like the man that you just beat in Sergio Martinez, man. He was never supposed to be there. Unlike you, who were a touted prospect, I believe he was an Olympian. And you were supposed to be where you are. Not taking anything away from your ring accomplishments, but just because being a B side in two fights does not mean you gotta treat your opponents like they're garbage. You were A side against Shane Mosley and Zav Judah, like two big names. You're a big name, but doesn't mean that you gotta do fucking catchweights, especially if you're the middleweight champion of the world at 160. Is it a change of attitude about Miguel Cotto, or is it? It has something to do with his attitude, and it has mostly to do with this era of divas. Definitely, of course, where fighters don't want to fight each other, like he doesn't want to fight a Canelo or a Golovkin, and he's basically saying that like the WBC can't make me do what they want. I do what I want. Saying that to that the WBC has mandated that he fight Gennady Golovkin next. He's like, I don't have to do what you guys say. I do what I want. Like a teenage freaking girl, dude. You can't tell me what to do. I do what I want. This is a shame, man. You know, one of the best fighters in this generation. He has one of the deepest resumes in the sport. But he's just doing this, man. And he's like, yeah, probably won't fight Gennady Golovkin because he hasn't earned the shot at me. He hasn't earned to fight. Man. He's like, he doesn't have a deep enough resume. Oh, yeah? Devin Rodriguez had a really deep resume, huh? Austin Trout had a really deep resume. Speaking of Austin Trout, I hope Daniel Gill Austin Trout's you on Saturday because of the way you're acting. I just cannot root for a man that does this, man. Does not explain himself. Kind of reminds me of James Kirkland when they asked him about Ann Wolf and he's like, hey, stop asking me questions about Ann Wolf. Ann Wolf, you're pissing me off. You know? That's what it reminds me of. You don't want to be asked tough questions, or you just say, because I can. Because this is what I do. You're basically saying, because I'm a diva. And I could make diva demands when I'm not fighting Manny Pacquiao or Floyd Mayweather, the two other biggest divas of this diva trio of this era. A big star who's not a diva is Canelo, who is the only reason I want Cotto to win. I know I just said I want Gil to win because this guy's such a diva, but I really want to see Cotto versus Canelo, Puerto Rican versus Mexico fight. Oh, that fight will be so good too. So yeah, I'll be rooting for Gil, but secretly rooting for Cotto to pull this off. But I say don't be shocked if Cotto loses. Do not be shocked. Daniel Gil is not a big middleweight, but he's a natural middleweight. It's one who's Cotto has never fought before, and he has a shot in this. It will not be an easy night. He will not score a third round knockout like Gennady Golovkin did. Well, do not be shocked if Daniel Gil wins. That is all I am saying. But I hope Cotto wins so then he could get beat up by a Canelo Alvarez, who is a winnable fight, by the way, because Cotto's such a great fighter. You see, I'm bashing this fighter, but I'm not bashing his career and in-ring ability. He's a hell of a fighter, but he's not living up to his he is not living up to his full potential. That's why I bash him. I'm not bashing Brandon Rios. I'm not bashing other fighters that aren't in his level. You bash fighters that are great, that you think are great, that aren't living up or fighting the opponents that you believe are on their level. Well, that's why I bash them anyway, and that's why I'm explaining. I don't just bash someone. I explain why I bash them out of respect for their careers, man. But other than that, this is how I view Miguel Cotto these days. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. Shout outs to the YTBC once again for giving me support. I love all your videos and I love all your input and your comments. Please comment your thoughts below. I appreciate them. And don't forget to subscribe. Peace.